unsigned bands are in a completely, and when I say unsigned bands, I'm talking about unsigned original acts, are in a completely different situation. Cover bands make money. I mean, they go and they play weddings. They're never going to make it big, or they don't have a real shot at making it big. But, you know, they make money. They're at a different status than what we talked about before. But an unsigned musician, no matter how great they are, until they have a market, or until they have some kind of deal or some kind of notoriety, really their status is what we joked about before, and it's horrible. And they could be the greatest musician, could be the greatest people gone.
Can you elaborate on that? Can you define that a little clearer? And where do you see the young band starting out, for the 17-year-olds, 16-year-olds? Where do you see that they should be developing and putting their passion? But what do you see as being most important of that whole combination?
You know, again, and I don't want to be flippant about this, but stick-to-itiveness, right? There are so many acts out there that have a sound or have a style that might not agree with my taste or your taste or other people's taste, but if they're at it long enough, they're going to find some kind of market, some kind of, even some strange underground market. And I think there's something to be said for just hanging in there. And again, putting out these 10 albums, just committing to 10 albums. One time, and it was a mutual friend of ours, his brother came into a club of ours, and we had hot wings, right? Different hot wings and different types of food. And this one month, I swear, this one style of hot wing paid the rent. It did. We sold so many of these damn things. And my friend's brother came in and said, look, let me try these wings everybody's eating. Right? I like the other ones, but let me try these. And he started eating them, and he said, you know what? He finished the plate, and he said, these suck. These wings suck. And I said, you know what? You probably mean those wings aren't for you, because we just paid our damn rent with those wings. You know, I don't know how the hell they can suck. You know, we just paid our rent. I don't like them either, but I mean, to say they suck, right? I mean, we just paid our rent with these stupid wings. So when you're looking at bands and you're looking at music, I challenge you in the month of June to look back at every #1 single that's been out. Get a Billboard chart for every #1 single that's been out since January of this year. And tell me how many of the #1 singles suit your taste. I bet you there's 5 of them that I like personally. Right? The ones that I don't like are making millions and millions of dollars, right? They're just not my taste. Now, again, I think I could listen to it and say, boy, every one of these I would sign, or I would love to pick up. But I challenge you, just take a look at the best-selling albums of the last 2 years, and just tell me how many of them you like, you personally like. So the thing is, if you like 20% of them, that means 80% of them you don't like. So who the hell am I to say what's good, what's bad, right? It's what has a market. And, you know, really, sooner or later, if you keep banging out something, first of all, you're going to get better. Second of all, you're going to find some kind of market. There might be some weird market that just develops around you. You want to take it one step further. Those 10 album bands, if they could somehow, some way, commit to some kind of touring every year, even if it's just like the major cities, figure out some way to do 20 cities a year. It's a much different status, a touring band with an album. You know, at one point, and this is before it was so easy to record, and again, now with Pro Tools, everybody's recording, everyone has an album. But go back 20 years ago, a band that wasn't doing anything was a garage band. A band that would get out of the garage and go into a club is a club band. Club band that was going to try to get some kind of deal would do some kind of demo. If a band did an album, all of a sudden, 20 years ago, people were like, hey, they got an album out. they're doing something. You know, like a guy on the street. You know, with a guy that works with some guy either in a factory, office, or whatever. Says, hey, this guy I work with, he just did an album. He's got a band. When a band does a second album, to me, it puts a big gap between all those other bands. First of all, the bands that have the one album, there's a big gap. But I mean, really puts he or she, they put a huge gap between the band that's in the garage and the band that has two albums. I mean, it's a much, much different situation. So all of a sudden you start getting a third record, a fourth record. And what if you add in there that they're touring a bit? Just do the major cities, if nothing else. Get a gig in LA, cost you money, fine, just do it. Get a gig in New York City, play Chicago, play Detroit, play somewhere in Florida, Orlando, maybe Miami, and wherever else you think there's a happening club that plays original music or does original music. Or start out regionally. Start building the markets. If you're a New York band, do Philadelphia. It's an hour and a half away. Maybe develop some friendships with bands, other original music bands that have no New York market. Maybe you got a situation where all your high school buddies are coming to see you in some New York club and you got 100 people coming to your shows. When you go to Philadelphia, nobody's going to see you. Find a band in Philadelphia who sounds similar to you. It's so easy now on MySpace to find these bands. So find a band that's similar to you, and they're bringing 100 people into Philadelphia. Say, look, you come in here and open for us in New York, and we'll open for you in Philadelphia, and we'll both build up some markets here. And the bands that are doing that, like making little deals among themselves, are usually much better. And I'll tell you, it's the punk bands and it's the ska bands and hardcore bands with death metal bands, but it's the niche bands that really get that, and they go and they tour. And I mean, you can't imagine how much better you get by touring than just staying in your own market. So I mean, to me, again, it starts with this concept. We're going to be a 10-album band, no matter what. We're going to be a 10-album band. We don't care who likes it, who doesn't like it, and we're going to get better each album. And you want to go that much further, we're going to exploit this album, positive sense, exploit it, and we're going to do what we can to get into some regional markets or some of the larger national markets. I mean, to me, that's what it takes. I mean, you're asking about songs and singers. I mean, there's bands out there that have 10 albums that are legend, that are in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame that I can't listen to for a half hour. I can't listen to for 15 minutes. Again, I like unsigned music. I mean, I do. I listen to a lot of it. It's because I've never heard it before. And once a band gets to a certain status, I kind of stop listening to them. And I'm looking, always looking for something to develop. And we've had some success. We've had a lot of bands. We've helped a lot of bands get record deals. And at one point when we stopped managing bands and I got into a whole other aspect of life, I think it was like 40 or 50 different record deals that we put together, unsigned stuff. And to me, it was probably a record. I don't know that any non-attorney, even music attorneys, I don't think any non-attorney has put that together. And my brother and I put so many different deals together, and unfortunately no Sinatras and no Madonnas, but we've done well with it. Certain amount of satisfaction in putting deals together, and we've done it. We've done it quite a bit, and probably more than anyone else. And to me, it all comes back to that concept of, instead of we have to make it big in 3 years or else, that instead of that, we're gonna become a 10-album band. So it's longevity, it's productiveness, it's being prolific. I think that's a very big point. I would underline everything with that. And by the way, if you end up doing 3 albums a year instead of 1 album a year for 3 years, I mean, so be it. You become a 10-album band in 3.5 years. What's wrong with that?